Hi, everybody. My name is D.Lisa West. I'm a dream doula and a life coach.
Hi, I'm Christina Spataro. I'm a psychotherapist and a relationship coach.
And today, before we started chatting, I noticed this probably happens to you. I noticed that the same thing is coming up over and over and over again
hmm
on social media, in my email.
hmm
And here's the message of the day. Who are the 5 people you spend the most time with?
Mm,
And I've heard it said in a harsh way in the past, like you're only as good as, you're only as successful as, you're only as rich as, you're only as happy as those 5 people you spend the most time with. So who
hmm
are those 5 people? I remember thinking when I first heard that, oh, wow. Because I was trying to raise my vibration and have
hmm
more prosperity and just live a bigger life.
hmm
But if I looked honestly at the 5 people I spent the most time with, one out of the 5 was doing life like I wanted to, and the
hmm
other 4 were kind of whiners.
mm
They were complainers. They were living small, and uh, they're longtime friends. So maybe you keep
hmm
them anyway, but that doesn't mean you have to spend most of your time with those people that are
hmm
complainers. Have you considered this, Christina, with your clients?
I do consider it because one thing I have seen, especially for my clients who are struggling, for instance, when they go back home
Mm,
to families or friends who maybe have not been healthy for them, it definitely puts them in a bad way. Like, they'll make the obligatory trip home for the holiday, but they're so miserable that it takes a lot to like clear all that mental garbage that has been pushed on them after
oh,
that trip.
yeah. Yeah.
So I think you do have a salient point. Who do you spend your time with? Now, if in terms of like, okay, I want to be my certain career place, yes, you definitely will also want to have people who will uplift you in that, but also the people who you spend the most time with. Not only what are they doing, but how do they make you feel when they're around you?
Ooh, that's beautiful.
Right. Do
Yes.
you feel uplifted by them? Do you feel loved by them? Do you feel like you can be yourself with them, respected? Or do you feel picked on by them? I mean, we may say, well, why about so many, so many? Because how many times are people with people who maybe are overly critical in a not good way? Because there's a way to for a friend to hold you accountable and, help you and beat down on you. So you want to make sure, are you with people who are beating down on you? Are you with people who are making you feel bad about yourself?
And this reminds me that sarcasm is not really funny. I hung out with a man for 15 years. He was very sarcastic and he was very smart. So he
Mm-hmm.
would say he was witty.
Mm-hmm.
Now, okay, it's fine to be witty, but if you, underneath that witty thing you're saying is a cut into someone else's how they are or who they're
Right.
being or what they're doing. That's just also he admitted to this. That's kidding on the square, meaning you're making a
Mm,
joke, but it's true. You really think it.
you really think it.
So and at the time I was like, he said to me once, "Your friends are so earnest." And I said, "Cool. Yeah, I like earnest people."
Mhm.
And he said, "My
Yes.
friends are more sarcastic." And I thought, okay,
Mm,
wow. So now I'm not saying there's one way's
no.
better than another, but I highly recommend that you think about the 5 people you spend the most time with. Are they family members? Are they friends? Are they colleagues at work?
hmm
Um, and do they help you be a better person or do they pull you down?
Exactly. And that's the key. And we're not saying you have to cut people out. We're not saying that. But we're saying you have to rethink. how much time you're giving someone. If when you leave that encounter, you feel drained instead of filled up. Like, and you will know the difference. For instance, think of one of the 5 people you talk to. When you speak, if you even speak to them on the phone, how do you feel after that conversation? Do you feel like, oh, wow, that was so great to catch up with them. Oh my goodness. Do you feel good after that conversation? Or do you feel depressed about your life? And oh, but that just made me feel bad. Think about that. And if
Oh,
that's the
that's
constant
beautiful.
conversation you're having with that person, you may want to limit how often you're talking.
Yeah. And I think for people that are highly sensitive and empathic people, we often are friends with others who, when at the end of the conversation, they feel great and we
Right,
feel bad.
right.
Like we took all their
Took all
pain
their stuff.
somehow.
Yeah,
They're
yeah.
and they're like, I feel so great. I'm like, oh man, I need to take a
I
walk
feel
or a
depressed.
shower or something. I need a nap. So
Yeah.
sometimes yeah. How do you feel after you talk to them? You should feel happy. You should feel
Yes,
inspired. You should feel uplifted and like they generated so many ideas and thoughts for you that you almost couldn't stop talking. Is it fun to
exactly.
be with someone like that? You're like, oh,
Exactly.
let me tell you this one thing and this other thing
Absolutely.
and this other thing.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes, that's how you should feel. Now, I'm not saying there can't be moments where they may be down and you might be down. That's fine. And relationships are a mutual give and take where you support each other through good times and bad. But I'm talking about the overall general feeling when you're around this person.
Hmm.
If you feel a sense of dread when they're coming over or when you know it's them on the phone, yeah, probably not one of your 5 that's uplifting you.
Yeah. 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 Oh, during COVID, I had a friend. So I'll apologize now if you're listening to me. But we got into this routine where every day at 3 o'clock,
Mhm,
he would call me on the phone and we would chat for about an hour. He'd just chat about his day and what he was going to cook for dinner and if his finger hurt from playing the guitar too much. And it went on for weeks and weeks. And one day I thought to myself, wait a minute. It's COVID. I'm hunkered down in my apartment. I'm trying not to go out and kill anybody with my germs.
mhm,
But every day I spend an hour talking to this guy. I don't feel good when I hang up. I think he
mhm,
feels good.
mhm,
And finally, I just said, listen, I don't talk to anyone this much. I don't talk to anyone every day for an hour, including my family and my
mhm,
very best girlfriends. We need to stop.
mhm, mhm,
And he was very confused, probably because I just kept doing it for so long. Instead of saying, dude, call me in a week. I want to talk to
mhm,
you. I'd be like, hello. So sometimes you have a friend that's like that. You just feel like you need to say yes to their conversations, or
mhm,
you must say yes to a go to lunch kind of thing.
mhm,
And I have felt that way with some of my friends that I knew were old and pretty sick. I was like,
mm.
I gotta go visit them. They're almost dead. You know, I'll miss
Oh,
them when they're dead. And so
yeah.
sometimes I would go and visit my friends who were old and almost dead. But that's not what we're talking about here. We're talking about
Mhm.
who do you hang out with the most?
Yes.
Who are those 5 people?
Who are those 5 people? Who are those 5 people that make you feel good?
Right, right. And if you want to have a better, more money in your bank account, don't hang out with 5 people that are poor. I mean, we laugh, but it's true.
No,
You,
it's true. If you want to have a certain measure of professional success, yes, you probably, because again, relationships. Also, you can have different clusters of people. You
yeah,
can have people that are your professional motivators, like
yeah,
they're where you want to be professionally, and you can encourage each other and support each other, and you're on a similar trajectory of where you want to be. But you can also have your group of friends who are just very warm and loving, and that you get that warmth there, but maybe, they're working for nonprofits and not, that's fine too. The key is different groups meet different emotional needs. Some will meet needs for loving connection, camaraderie. Others will meet needs for professional development. But the key is, do you feel better, whether you feel professionally or personally satiated when you're with them? Or do you feel, okay, I'm seriously depressed and I don't want to feel this way after what's supposed to be a social encounter?
Yeah. Yeah. Well, because we are energetic beings and if you imagine that we're just balls of energy having
Mm-hmm.
this energetic exchange. So every time you have a talk with someone, your energy's going, you're merging with there's some kind of energetic
Mm-hmm.
exchange happening. And if that other person is getting it and you're not, don't hang out with them. If you're both
Exactly.
like, woo, 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 it's kind of like,
Mm-hmm.
um, I think good visual would be like you're whipping something that gets fluffy.
Yes.
So you're whipping each other up into this fluffy, happy, buoyant, beautiful, enthusiastic, living energy. That's how it
Right.
should be when you hang out with people.
Exactly. I actually love that visual. You want a living, breathing, living energy. And also, again, we have different energy needs in terms of what do we need in this moment, in this time. And are those energy needs being met? And again, you're going to do that for somebody else. So it's not like it's not about a transactional thing. I'm going to give to you because you're giving to me. It's about a mutual, my vibration, my energy is increasing because of my time with you, and yours is increasing because of your time with me, and we're elevating each other.
Right. And don't you agree that sometimes we meet people in this random way and then they
Mhm.
become a dear, dear friend, and we had no idea that we were even going to meet them.
Yes.
Those are some of the best friends.
Oh, they are. Those fate moments too. When you meet people like that and it was just this true random thing and they wind up becoming that very special person to you. That's when you know universe, fate, there, God, whatever you believe, that's when you know all of that's coming into play.
Yeah, that's the one mind
Yeah,
connecting us so that we can do something together.
exactly.
Um,
Like we're going
so
to do something
great.
special. And I
Yeah,
think
like
that,
maybe you're just in line at a store.
yeah, exactly. Just in a store. And you never know how that's going to happen either. It's one of these random things where you just start talking to somebody
Yeah.
and you find like you're in sync and you're like, hey, that's kind of cool. Do you want to get coffee? And before you know it, you're getting coffee. And then you're like, oh, it's turning into lunch next week. And, and you talking to somebody who, wow, yeah, and again, that also inspires you too, because usually those kinds of connections are allowing you to tap into your best self.
Mm.
So, for instance, if you have higher career aspirations or you want to be successful, to do that, you have to tap into the higher parts of yourself. So, people who bring that out in you are more likely to help you on that path because they're making you feel that way. They're making you get into that better space. They're making you a better person. As we were talking, I was trying to think of a movie and just a bunch was swirling in my head, but I was thinking of The Holiday with Kate Winslet, Cameron Diaz, Jack Black, and Jude Law. And the reason I was thinking about it was it's the story of two women who both go through a bad breakup and then basically swap houses.
Oh,
Kate
right.
Wins Kate Winslet has this little cottage in England, and Cameron Diaz has this beautiful home in California. And but what struck me is the Kate Winslet character when she was in England, the guy she was seeing, just playing games, not so nice, spoiler alert, and not taking her for granted and using her. So she wasn't around people that were uplifting her. But when she comes to California, she befriends her neighbor, the Eli Wallach character, and they become friends. And then she befriends the Jack Black character. And these are people who she's able to truly be herself with, who she's
Mm.
able to have fun with, who are just accepting of her and she's accepting of them. So she creates this lovely little, so it's a love story too, because she meets someone and then the camera does it, but it's also about who are you hanging with? And her relationships with these two people bring out her best self. And she's happier than she's ever been. And there's also a great line in there, which I have mentioned in the blog, because the idea was she, in this scene with the Eli Wallach character, he's telling her, because he was in the film industry, he's like, you're leading lady material. Why are you being a supporting character in your own life? You're like the best friend character in the movie. And it's such a great line, because, and then she even says it, she's like, oh my gosh, you helped me more than years of therapy, because the idea that she was always supporting these other people in her life,
Mm-hmm.
and she was not the leading lady in her own life, and she should be. So are you the main character in your own life? And I'm not saying to be egocentric, but I'm like, are you being supported in the way you need to be supported, or are you only the support role for someone else?
Oh, that's so beautiful. It's so beautiful. And our friends sometimes see our light before we can see it. Just like that.
Mm-hmm.
Just like
Yeah.
that saying, like, you're a leading lady. Why aren't you acting like it?
Yeah.
Um, I've certainly had friends tell me in the past when I was not believing in myself, they're like, you're awesome. You're
Mm-hmm.
amazing.
Yeah.
Why don't you believe it? Like they're looking at
Mm-hmm.
me like, what's going on in there? Like
Mm-hmm.
you could do this, you could do this. So those are the kind of friends we ought to collect as our
Absolutely.
close five. So the
Yes.
five we hang around with the most ought to be the ones that champion us, that tell us we're the leading lady or the leading man, that tell us we can
Mm-hmm.
do that thing that we think is impossible to do.
Yes.
Those are the ones who are going to, I would say, they would be partners in believing.
Yes.
They'll
Yes.
believe for us when we can't believe for ourselves.
Mm-hmm. Exactly.
Yeah, that sounds like a mic drop moment.
I think so.
Thank you, Christina.
Thank you as always. And you're definitely one of the five I want in my life.
Oh, thank you.
You're welcome.
Gotcha.
Thank you.